All right, get your attention. Okay. All right, we're going to do one more. It's going to be back in the hallway. So you can hear, actually, it's going to be back in the bathroom, so you can make a difference. All right, hear that sound? Okay. Hear the difference? Okay, you're getting to hear, experience live fire in actually a building right now. Definite difference between the pop of a handgun and the sound of a rifle. Okay, that is an M4 rifle. Do you hear when they're in the bathroom, you hear the whoosh, the whoosh, how it's that whoosh. You hear that whoosh as it comes out. All right, so now you got that in your brain. At least you have some kind of reference point that you know right here in the room, you can tell the distance. You can tell it is right here, it is right on top of me. You see the flash, you know it's in that direction. It starts getting distorted. You can tell as they went to the bathroom and then they continue on. You're still hearing that whoosh. You can figure out what direction they are. That's an M4. That's an assault rifle. That's an M4 rifle.
Shoots 5.56 rounds. Today we use blank rounds. That cartridge looks the same except that there's no bullet that would project out of the barrel of the gun, and it is basically a real-life simulation of what a real round would sound like if coming from this firearm.
And there's a big difference between in the room versus outside of the room. Why is it critical to hear both of those?
Well, for employees to know what it sounds like for obviously something that's happening in very close proximity to them, and then for, if it's in a different area of the casino, walls, barriers, they have that awareness of like, okay, that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like gunfire.
Damage can a weapon like that do? I mean, sadly, I know we have seen the reality of it, but can you help us understand how quickly?
I don't quite know the velocity of these bullets, but it'll penetrate several walls without any issues. It'll penetrate certain metal doors, depending on how thick they are, wood doors.
And it can go a distance, right?
It goes very far.
Yeah, like a mile? Half mile?
Oh, further.
Oh,
if it has
further
no
than a mile?
obstructions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this the kind of gun that can just keep firing?
No, this is not a fully automatic gun.
So it's a semi-automatic,
It's a semi-automatic.
assault rifle.
Yes.
And it's called an M4.
Right.
Okay.
Easily obtainable?
Yeah, anybody can buy these nowadays. So, I mean, this isn't anything that either of you may have in your safes at home. It's just a platform that we use for the police department.
What could an assailant do with that in terms of damage? How could one pull the trigger, wipe out part of a room?
I mean, they could. I mean, he holds 30 to 60 rounds depending on your magazine. So, like he was talking about, running's the best option because it's harder to hit. So if you're just standing there, it's way easy to just point and shoot.
Thank you. It's sort of the new norm. It's a sad reality where we are today. Can you just speak to that in terms of you're doing this? I know you did it a year ago, but here we go again.
Here we go again. Unfortunately, this is the world that we live in. It's one of those things that it is an ongoing series of active shooter training we do provide for our team. This has been in the planning for months. It's just bad coincidence that it actually happens after a weekend of such massive tragedies across the country. But it's about putting our team members first. It's giving them the tools needed to make sure that they and their families are safe if an active shooter situation breaks out, wherever they may be.
What are you hearing from employees? Are they welcoming this? Do they want it?
They do. The employees really welcome these types of trainings. A lot of our trainings are about meeting regulatory minimums, making them more efficient in their jobs. This is just about keeping them and their families safe. Last year, after we did the active shooter training with the Navy SEALs, a lot of the feedback was we want more, and we want more in-depth training. So we brought in one of the experts from the FBI to give us different sets of tools, and the narrative is changing when it comes to active shooter preparedness. So we want to make sure we're at the leading front so that we're as prepared as we can be.
Can you be more specific about the narrative that's changed? What's different?
Yeah, active shooter continues to change, and it continues to be the same thing as far as the type of shooter that comes out and the type of weapons that they use. But as we're seeing more and more shift towards assault style weapons, last year we used a 9mm when the SEALs came in to provide that live gunfire. This year we're using an M4, which is an assault style weapon. That sound is a little bit different, and we just want to make sure when a team member comes in and they hear that, they hear it for the first time in a training scenario, not somewhere else where they have to guess what was that sound.
Okay, so really important point. The
Yes.
sound is going to be a clue, and to hear the sound simulated might save somebody's life. The sound is, can you, again, just sort of underscore the sound
bet.
piece of this?
Yeah, a critical piece of our training today is to make sure that the team members hear what it sounds like when a gun is fired in an enclosed space in proximity to them. A lot of folks will say, I didn't know what the sound was, whether it was fireworks or balloon popping. We want to make sure that if they hear it, they recognize it, because seconds matter in an active shooter situation. If they recognize it, they can act quicker, which can save lives.
Just two more questions. We're in a beautiful setting. It's peaceful, it's serene. This is where you come maybe to decompress and get away from it. You get here and you get in the zone. I think it underscores that, and it tells us the sad reality is it doesn't matter where.
Yeah. This is a peaceful place, and this is a place where people come to have fun, and we want people to continue to come and have fun, being relaxed, knowing that we've done the hard work for them. We do a lot of things with on-site police presence. We do the active shooter training to prepare our teams for how these things can happen and what we can do to protect them. So we don't want our guests to have to worry about those things. We're doing everything we can. We can't show them all on camera, but there's a lot of things we do to prevent these things from happening, but also a quick response that will save lives.
What about, I think it says something that this isn't just for your employees.
That's right. This is a training that got a lot of attention last year when we brought in the SEALs and did our training. Our tribal council had asked, we're doing something great for the community, for our guests, for our team members. Why don't we open to other people? So we opened it to the other tribes in Washington. We brought in their security teams, their regulators. We even invited our business partners from the chambers of commerce in the area, because this is a universal need. It's the time that we live in. And if we've got the trainers here, we've got the space available, we all get better for the community and for our guests if we can share with everyone.
Brian, I can think of one other question, then I'm done. Have you had any close calls here? Have you diffused any situations? Has anything happened recently that you can share with us?
Yeah, we're always vigilant about anything that could happen here. Fortunately, we've not had anything that's been serious, but we're always vigilant. We're always looking, and whenever we do see things that could pose a threat, we're immediate with our response, and we're thorough with how we handle it.
Is there something else you wanted to say I didn't ask about that you think is pertinent?
Yeah, but I'll just give you an answer. Yeah, this is an ongoing training series. It's been in the planning for months. Other things in addition to training that we're doing is we have an on-site presence of law enforcement with tribal police, but we also have King County that comes in to help us out, and we're looking at ways that we can expand that so that we have proper coverage for different types of events and possibly even around the clock.
Well, good interview. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
So Brian,
Yes.
I had a couple myself. So going back to what you were talking about how important it is to learn that sound when they hear it.
That's right.
You're going to have that sound this afternoon. How do you strike that balance with not scaring the heck out of your customers who might think something actually is going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of things that we're worried about. One, we want to make sure that the team and the guests that are here hear it, and they hear it in the right context. They'll be warned ahead of time, but it'll still be a surprise so they can understand what that sound is when they're not expecting it. But we do have security on the floor. We have executives on the gaming floor. We're open. This is an open casino. And if somebody hears it, we want to ensure that panic doesn't arise. So we do have signs out that will say training simulation in progress, but we have smiling faces there to let them know and assure them things are safe. We're just protecting their safety with an active shooter simulation.
I have one question for you. Can you speak to the uniqueness of this location? There are bells and whistles and lights and cubbies and dark areas and lots of hallways. Like, how do you deal with if this is happening here? There's so much going on already to keep an eye on and stuff. Looking at Michelle.
You got it.
You have that's a great question, because you have a real challenge versus all offices do, but this is unique.
Yeah, we have a lot of different angles and places to consider here. We have concerts, we have restaurants, we have a gaming floor with a lot of sounds there. We have office spaces. So it was critical for us both last year and this year that the team hears those gunshots in the places where they work, so that they do recognize it's not a pallet hitting the floor and it's not somebody dropping something in the restaurant. It's a sound that is distinct, unique, and easily recognizable. So if they hear it again, they'll have a quick response. It's a great question.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate
Yeah, my
that.
pleasure. Thank you for having us.
So I am Darren Roberts. The first name is Darren, D-E-R-O-N. Last name Roberts, common spelling. And I'm the Director of Safety and Security at Snoqualmie Casino.
So I understand you have an interesting background. Do you bring an FBI perspective?
I guess so. I was local deputy sheriff in Palm Beach County, Florida for about 7 years, and then I was in the FBI for a little over 21 years before coming here.
So I know that the last time there was some training here, there was one emphasis. This time around, the emphasis is more FBI gear. Can you explain that?
Yeah,
Or maybe more about
the message is the same. Last year, the delivery was a little bit different. So they let a lot of the employees that work here at the casino be role players, and they went around and they fired blank pistol rounds to let them see what it would sound like and let them practice the idea of running, hiding, or fighting. Today's training is a little bit more geared towards providing a little more education on the statistics and history of the active shooter program that the FBI works. Now we've seen a vast increase in the number of active shooting events in the United States over the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm. And is there something specifically that you want people to take away? Is there, if there's one thing that they could take away from today's event, I got the impression that it might be listening.
Yeah, be prepared. Be prepared. Have a mindset no matter what you're doing. If you're in a crowded situation, yes, when you're at home in the comfort of your own home, you can kind of let your hair down. But when you're out in public, and especially you're in with large crowds at a movie theater, at a mall, at a sporting venue, or whatever the case may be, go there with the mindset that you have an understanding of what would you do? Run it through your head real quick. What would you do if something bad happened right now? Where is the nearest exit? How can I run away from here? Where could I hide? That's the mindset you need. Again, it's not being paranoid. It's just being prepared. And I think a lot of people kind of walk throughout their daily lives, and I'm guilty of it as well, where your kind of head's in the cloud, your mind's on a million other things. But it doesn't take long to spend 3 seconds to just think about, I'm at a movie theater, the exit is over there to the right. That's the quickest way out of here.
I think it's a basic question, but why active shooting training? Why have you decided we need to do it again? We need to invite others in the community here. To me, it sounds as if you believe it's necessary.
Well, clearly, I mean, you look at the statistics that it's.
Go ahead and start that over if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Clearly, if you look at the statistics, active shooter mass shooting events have just almost quadrupled over the past 20 years. We had one, I believe, in 2001. We had 30-something in 2017. I don't even know what the stats are for 18 and 19, but I know they're way more than that. So on average, we're averaging more than one major mass shooting in this country a week. And so I think you would be remiss if you didn't prepare yourself mentally. And when you work at a large entertainment industry environment like this, you have to prepare your team members so they can not only have the mindset to protect themselves, but also protect our guests.
Is it more challenging maybe for your employees here because there's all these bells, there's all these whistles, there's all these cubby holes? I mean,
It has its challenges, there's no doubt, because let's face it, hopefully people are coming here to the casino to have a good time, to kind of let their worries fade off into the distance and spend a little time gaming or going to a concert venue or eating or whatever. So the last thing you're thinking about is danger. But our employees, it's when you work at a casino, you look at it through a different lens, don't you? Me as a security officer, I look at a casino through a different lens, I'm sure, than most people when they walk into a casino. It can be challenging, but on the other hand, as I tell my team members, as we went through a lot of training yesterday with the same topic, we ran several sessions for all of our shifts, is that we work in a pretty safe environment, as safe environments go. We obviously have the advantage of having a lot of camera coverage throughout the casino and its property. So chances are if something bad was happening, not only would we know where the suspect was located, but we know if it was more than one, what they were wearing, where they were heading, what kind of gun they had, all this information that we could pass to law enforcement officials to address, hopefully in a pretty quick manner.
the last question for me. So my understanding is that the weapon for the simulated shooting is going to be an assault weapon. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Let's talk about why.
It's a distinct different sound than like a pistol, and it's loud, let me tell you, inside of a building like this. And even though I went through it 4 times yesterday while we were doing the training for our team, every time we fired it, it made me jump. And, the idea is that the employees not get used to that. You never get used to that sound, but you understand what that sound is like. and that you realize you can survive that. You know, you get through the initial shock of that, take a deep breath, and then you go into action and do what you have to do. We also are going to fire a couple of rounds on the other side of a few walls, so you can hear what a slightly muffled sound of a long rifle sounds like being fired inside a building. Because oftentimes when we tell our people to run, hide, or fight, if they're hiding, if they understand what the sound is like, they might be able to make the determination that the shooter is moving away from them, and it might be a good opportunity for them to go ahead and escape.
Oh, I really like those two answers. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Really good meeting you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that.
No worries.
Darren, the one question I have for you too, you mentioned the challenges that come along. What are your concerns now that we see more and more of these things, and especially after Las Vegas?
Well, I mean, if they pay me to be concerned, that's my job. So every night I go to bed and I'm concerned about something bad happening here. But I tell you what we do is we put a lot of security measures in place to try and mitigate those threats, from bag searches to having a top-notch security team that checks suspicious-looking people. I tell my employees on a beautiful day outside when it's 90 degrees and someone walks in with a black trench coat, that might be someone we want to have a conversation with, because that's not normal behavior. What we want from all of our employees is if they see something, say something.
All right. Thanks for that, Darren. Appreciate it.
Well, good afternoon. How are you? I'm going to try to make it a little bit more upbeat since we're talking about a pretty solemn topic. As you can tell, I'm not from Washington with my voice. You guys don't know what hot weather is. Back in Charlotte, North Carolina right now, our temperature is probably 94 degrees, but also the humidities are probably around 90% too. So that is hot, definitely hot. So I'll start off with a joke for you. Sometimes jokes go good, go bad. Follow along. There is 3 kids. One kid is from a Secret Service agent. One kid is from a Snoqualmie PD officer, and another kid is from an FBI agent. So they're all chatting around and trying to figure out which dad is the best. So the Secret Service agent's kid says, "Hey, my dad's faster than your dad. He can jump in front of any type of bullet and protect anybody in the United States. He's that fast." So the Snoqualmie kid said for a minute, "You know, my dad can track down any fugitive, any criminal, and outrun them, tackle them, and arrest them right there." So the FBI kid thought for a minute. He goes, "You know what? My dad can clock out at 5 o'clock and be home by 2:30. That's about the truth. Well, thank you. Glad to be here. I am married. I do have 2 daughters. I have one who's a senior in college, University of South Carolina. I have another one just graduated high school. Not quite sure what she's going to do yet, but we're empty nesters and we're trying to figure it out. I have done a lot of things. I've been on the Attorney General's protection detail for many years. And so how can a 5 foot, 5.5, 155-pound person protect one of the most powerful people in the United States? How do you do that? How do you think you do that? We got machine guns and all that stuff? Yeah, we have all that. But when they send me out to protect somebody and take their family to Rome, and I've got to protect them, how do I do it? And that's by using what? Your noggin, right? It's by using your noggin. It's about eliminating and trying to pre-plan where you go. Pre-plan before you go. And this is what I've always told my kids. So you guys just have been subject to Chick-fil-A, right? Just got Chick-fil-A in your mall, you know, the sandwich place. All right, so we love Chick-fil-A's out of Atlanta, Georgia. Absolutely, my kids think it's like crack cocaine or something, but they have it. They spend all the money on Chick-fil-A. But I always tell them, I said, always have a plan when you come in to the food court in the mall. Why? Because people are there, right? An active shooter is looking for what? People. They're looking for the mask. They're looking for people. So when you're in there and when it comes up Christmas time and you're shopping, have that plan. Do I need to run? What if somebody comes into the back of the mall, comes into the food court of the mall with a rifle and they start shooting? What am I going to do? Okay, my plan is I'm going to run to the Chick-fil-A, I'm going to jump over the counter, and I'm going to go through the back door. That's what my plan is, and I'm going to get out of the building. Kind of unorthodox, but I always tell them to have that plan, especially as they got older in high school, not elementary school, but as in high school. I said, baby, if you're walking by exit, there's shots being fired, and your teacher's trying to herd you back to a classroom, you run out of the building. Dad and I will work that problem out later. Don't you worry about it. You get out of that building. You get out of that building. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about. Have any of you guys went through the training last year? Hard for me to see because like a bunch in the back. All right, so they did a great presentation last year. It took a day that they're actually going through simulation and exercises. Today you will hear gunshots. I'm going to go ahead and give you a heads up. It's going to be an M4. It's going to be a rifle. It's not going to be a handgun. You're going to hear M4. I'm going to try to give you kind of a hint of when it's coming. It's not scare you absolutely to death. But you don't get up and you don't run out of here screaming, okay? It's just for you to get to understand what an M4 assault rifle sounds like inside of a building. It's a lot different than a pistol. A lot different sound. You'll hear it at distance. It's a different sound, okay? So I want to preface that. So don't freak out when that comes.